You know what? I'm about to say it. I think party games are one of the most underrated genre of video games. I like them more than shooters. I like them more than RPGs, tactical games, MMOs.
Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. Does that take away my gamer card? Good. Because I don't really want that shit anyways. Gamer is basically a derogatory word at this point, so no, I'm not a gamer, but I do play games. And what do I mainly look for in said games when I am in the act of playing them? Well, having a good time,
That's so weird. That and then I missed the fuck. No! What the fuck? Oh, fuck that kid. Fuck you. Oh! Oh! Oh!
Oh, triple jab. Oh my goodness, that slime is the winner of Morside Fight.
All right, yeah, I know what you're thinking. Stoney, Smash isn't a party game, it's a platform fighting game. Okay, yes, I know. I play competitive Melee myself, I know how this goes. But the thing is, it's also just a damn good party game when you play with all the items on, and you always have the great equalizer in case there is a skill difference of people playing of, yo, they still got 3 stocks left. These type of moments are the things that really help elevate party games as a genre for me above so many others, right? The games are specifically designed to get interactions out of players, and sharing these interactions with friends just, I don't know, man. I don't really think there's many other things I enjoy more than getting together with the guys and grabbing a few beers and just settling in for a long night of Mario Kart or maybe some Mario Party, and who knows, maybe get a little crazy, maybe whip out the strikers. But let's bring it back, all right? Let's bring it back to when I was just a little kid. You know, when I was a wee lad, one of the big consoles at the time was the N64. And what is so great about the N64, you might ask? Well, it allowed for 4 people to simultaneously play Beetle Adventure Racing. And Smash. Legitimately, one of my first memories I can remember was being at somebody's house, playing Smash 64, and using Kirby and doing the classic little brother tactic of flying up to the top of the screen and down being above someone. You know, this was the unbeatable move, and I believe it got dubbed the Forbidden Technique after a certain somebody kept losing to it. And it's just so funny thinking back on this now because I do play competitive Melee, and I love seeing people use that strategy in like casual games. It always brings me joy. Anyway, back to the point, right? Smash was like the first game I ever played, so it definitely influenced my interest in party-style games. But another thing was that I had 2 other siblings who also liked playing games at the time, so, you know, party games were the best way to get everyone to play at once. We had the classics, right? We played Mario Kart, Mario Party, Smash Bros, you know, but we also had our favorites, like the mini-games from Pokemon Stadium 2. Dude, those mini-games are fucking sick. And this was like a common thing back then as well, right? Games sometimes did the whole mini-games included thing. Like Kirby 64 was another one, right? Even though these were a small part of games in the grand scheme of things, we would end up playing these more than the other parts of games. And sometimes it's just nice to take a break from the main style of game as well. It's easy to overlook these parts of games as little more than a distraction, but honestly, I really appreciate the effort. The N64 being built with the 4 controller ports is what I assume helped entice all these developers to put all these minigame type modes in their main games. You know, gotta make sure you make use of that quick and easy 4 ports, and I'm sure Nintendo also was a fan of being able to sell more controllers and shit this way. I just feel like games back then also didn't feel the pressure as much of making like some crazy in-depth and long playtime in their games, and they were just more accepting to release a product that was just kind of there. It was what it is, and if players want to play it again, then fuck it, go right ahead. And it's not like these games don't have replay value. That's legit one of the biggest strengths for party games, in my opinion. The interactions you have in the game usually change depending on who you're playing with, and many of these party games push different style playstyles on players to increase types of interactions you have with them, and it's, there's just so many options and ways to play these things. Like I said, Kirby 64 was a good one, but another one I gotta bring up is all the side games in the Monkey Ball series. I swear, Monkey Target has to have even more playtime than the normal game mode for me, mainly because it was so easy to just throw on in a party setting and pass the controller around to see who could get the highest score. It's such a simple fun, but its approachable nature helps get people who might not play many games to give it a go like many party games do. But don't get me wrong either, there was definitely a meta to this game, and after hours and hours of playing and experimenting with approach options, we found different strategies like flying all the way past the stage and then returning into the wind, which makes it a lot easier than trying to drop with it behind you. Anyway, I won't sit here and bore you with all these games from only Nintendo consoles. The point stands, though, that party games are great in environments where you can just show up and play. And boy, did one game rule this category for a decent chunk back in the mid-2000s. That being Guitar Hero. I don't think I had even a single friend who didn't own at least one of the Guitar Hero games at some point in their life. When the craze first started, you could basically just go over to anybody's house and just kind of expect Guitar Hero to be on the agenda. It was the perfect combination of genre and controller that really took over the industry for a solid while. It made it so easy to play with others and hang out while listening to music, which I don't know if you've ever hung out before, but sometimes it's a pretty common practice to just sit there and listen to music, even without a game and controller involved. So of course, this just made sense. Even people who sucked at games could always give singing a try and essentially just treat it like karaoke. Not only was this great for large groups of friends, but whenever I had family and cousins over, it always was a go-to option to get everybody involved. It kind of sucks that this genre has mostly gone away now, with the latest Guitar Hero kind of being this weird new take on the whole thing and having more toned down music genres and losing kind of the cartoonish feel of the earlier games. Not to mention the controller, changing the controller, I don't know how well that went for them. I didn't play it. But you also had Rock Band. The last one of those was maybe back in 2015, so for one reason or another, the style of game just didn't stick around, but when it was around, damn, was that shit pretty fun, man. While we're on the topic of forms of gaming that also aren't really around anymore and also benefited from plenty of different types of party games on the system, I think we gotta talk about DS Download Play. I feel like this feature it's just like a feature that is often forgotten about in the grand scheme of things, but it was really one of the best features about the Nintendo DS system. If you're unfamiliar with it, it was essentially a feature that allowed other DS consoles to connect to a host system, which would then allow them to play certain games in certain modes. And the coolest thing about this feature was you didn't even need to own your own game on these consoles trying to connect. Only the host player needed a copy, and once everyone connected, you could all play whatever it is you were trying to play. I remember this being so awesome for games like Mario Kart, and in particular, the battle mode on that one. I have so many memories of just blowing into that DS screen like a madman trying to get my balloons back. But you also have some more of these niche uses, like the mini games in New Super Mario Bros. I spent so much time playing these mini games, and I also have fond memories of playing the mode in that game where you and another player just try to compete by collecting the most stars on the map a ton with my sister in car rides. DS Download Play was also the shit on the school bus, man. It was such a great way to get people to play together and play whatever it is with such ease, and I don't know, it's just something that you probably won't see ever again in like the modern landscape of gaming. Being able to play easily together is such a huge factor for me and kind of defines the party game genre, right? I think you can throw the party game moniker on many different types of games. It doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh, this is Mario Party, the de facto party game, right? One of the more underrated, or I guess underappreciated picks from a party game perspective is actually the Halo series. I feel like a lot of people don't really think of Halo as a party game and think of it more of a shooter, right? But the fun fact is that the original developers for Halo stated the game's concept from the start always came down to being a party take on the shooter genre.
Everybody likes to go to their buddy's house and, order pizza and get something to drink and wipe the Cheetos off your hands and jabbing each other and calling them names. What we wanted to do was take that whole situation and bring it to Xbox Live, and so we tried to create what we called a virtual couch.
They wanted it to be a game that could easily get multiple people together and have a good time regardless of skill level or what's going on in the game, what game mode, who's playing. There were systems that were put in place to heavily emphasize this cooperative experience, and especially once Halo 2 hit and added all these party up and social systems that were afforded to them through the use of Xbox Live. Custom games really emphasize Halo from a party game perspective, and I really think a lot of people, when they think about Halo, they really do go back to thinking about themselves maybe over at a friend's house, playing couch co-op, 4-player split screen, maybe you're playing Duck Hunt or Jenga or something like that, probably with other people doing the same thing, wherever else they're playing from, and it's just such a cool experience. And yeah, like I said, couch co-op, it was a huge staple of the franchise, right? Well, it was a staple of the franchise. Let's say that. We're gonna kind of ignore modern Halo, all right? One thing modern gaming did right though, and don't laugh at me when I say this, it's actually Among Us. For as much as the game got memed to hell and back, it was huge for so many people during the whole quarantine times. Lots of people really started to realize just how much they miss being able to hang out with others, and Among Us was a great way to hang out and get a group of friends together, and it came out at the perfect time. Obviously, people during the time could have played whatever or, other types of multiplayer games to stay in touch, but what made Among Us stand out was really, one, first, how cheap it was, and second, it was also just really easy to learn and understand. It was a game that really thrived in bringing out the personalities of your friends in funny or maybe even kind of fucked up ways, and that's what I think makes party-style games so great. This, alongside Fall Guys and the Jackbox party games, really did some heavy lifting during that period of my life, and I'm sure others feel similar. Jackbox, maybe even more so, gets credit for being so easy to play. Hell, you only need a phone and one person to actually own the game to play. I wouldn't consider myself to be like a super casual gamer or anything either. I love all sorts of games, but if I think back about it, I really do end up having so many great memories from games that could fall under the party game genre. And in an era where most games of the year end up being some big budget AAA third-person cinematic action game, and popular games media and coverage in general tends to kind of just treat party games as if they're usually only for kids or are somehow lesser games than your genres like shooters or RPGs, I really think party games do get underrated, even though some of my best gaming experiences have come from them. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one who feels this way, or maybe there's lots of you out there as well with awesome memories of playing party games just like me. If that's the case, let me know, man. I've really enjoyed reading all the comments on my last video about Halo 3 and kind of getting your thoughts and perspective on that stuff. I don't know, it's just cool to read through. With that all said though, I'm a peace out. Catch y'all in the next one. Whenever that is. Also, go buy a Wii U right now and play Nintendo Land. It's like the best party game, man. Just go do it. just trust me. Go enjoy yourself one of gaming's greatest accomplishments and experiences.